Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. I'm June Rawl, Director for IPDAY. I'm really happy that all of you could join us today, and I hope that this webinar finds all of you safe and well, and your family, friends, and all of your colleagues. Thank you for tuning in with us today. Today's webinar is going to be a sneak peek on the new individualized instructional student plans. You'll hear us now throughout IPDAY referring to these as the IISPs. So this is going to be a really great tool that I think that you're going to really find very useful. It will help you and your staff, your teachers, and your students focus on instruction that really addresses the non-mastered content on the TABE test. So facilitating our webinar today is Maria Gutierrez, school administrator from Miami-Dade County Public Schools, and we welcome Maria and we thank her very much for this time today. Just a few things to remind you of. You know that the webinar is recorded. All of you are in listen-only mode. You can enter your questions, but we ask that you enter them in the Q&A option that's on your screen. So go ahead and ask away. We'll be monitoring that throughout the presentation. All of the materials today, the PowerPoint is already on the IPDAY website, so you can review them there and download them and come back to it if you need to. All right, Maria, I'm going to turn it over to you. And I'm really excited about this, Maria. I'm just really excited about these IISPs. So I can't wait to talk to the field about this.
Good afternoon, June. Thank you so much. And welcome, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to Webinar Wednesday. So today I'm particularly excited about sharing a sneak preview into IPDAY's new Individualized Instructional Student Plans, or IISPs, as June called them, for the TABE 11-12 language test. We will follow this mini training with a full 1-hour webinar training on June 10th. Okay, and this training will cover in detail how to interpret the plans, complete them, and use them to target instruction based on learner needs so that you can gain maximum student performance. But we were just so excited about these much anticipated plans that we simply couldn't wait to just give you a sneak peek. So let's just do it. Let's do the sneak peek. Now at IPDAY, you know that we have always developed learning tools and resources based on research and best practices. It is what we do. And the development of the TABE 11-12 IISPs is no exception. So we will begin by taking a peek into the basics of this new tool, which you can use to differentiate, individualize, and even personalize instruction to move your data in the right direction. Let's begin by developing a general understanding of the IISP and its components. So, if you want your students to do well on the TABE 11-12 language test, particularly talking about the test in the language IISP, it's not just enough to provide good instruction. You and your students have to know the test inside out. You need to know what topic areas are tested, how many questions fall under each area, what question types are included. You need to be able to connect classroom lessons and activities directly to the tested content. These new language individualized plans map out each level of the test. So they help you and your students focus on content that has not been mastered, and also allow you to track progress over time to identify if and when a student has mastered a sufficient amount of tested content in order to be successful in post-testing. Now, we have been emphasizing for some time now that these plans will take the guesswork out of teaching. But why? Well, because they truly are individualized. We know that they're individualized because, again, they don't emphasize content that was pre-tested. We know this is like old data. They are different from the student's individual profile report in that that report only tells you how the student performed on his pretest. It does not tell you what content is going to be post-tested. The IISPs actually identify the content which students must master at each level to support success when post-testing. Let's now look at the overall content in each plan. And I say each plan because there are 4 separate plans for language. One is for a student who will be post-testing on a level E test, a second for a student who will be post-testing on a level M test, a third for a student who will be post-testing on a level D test, and the 4th plan is for a student who will be post-testing on a level A test. As we look at an overview of this plan, I want you to know that the breakdown is the same for all levels, so you don't have to overly stress about it. Once you understand what's contained in one plan, you will be able to transfer that information to all the plans. Now, let's carefully look at each section of the plan. I'm so excited about this. Just look at it. At the top, where you have section number 1 with the arrow pointing right, okay, and follow me, you have the name and level of the IISP. So this IISP in particular is the one for language for the level M TABE 1112 test. But what does this really mean? The significance is that this plan corresponds to the student's post-test, not his pre-test. For example, because this is a level M plan, this means that this particular student will be post-testing on a level language. Now, understanding this is critical because we are preparing students for their post-test, not their pre-test. When we do the full training for the language IISPs on June 10th, I will go over how to identify the form and level on which each student should post-test. For now, let's just get to understand what the plan is like. Now, let's look at section number 2, which is located under the title of the IISP. This is the section for you to input basic student, teacher, and course information. Under that, you have section number 3, current testing information on the left, and section number 4, post-test information on the right. Now, section 3, current testing information, refers to the student's pre-test information. Here is where you will write the date that the student took the pre-test, the level, the test form, and finally, the corresponding NRS level score with the correlated scale score range. You input the information in this section based on the student's individualized profile report, which comes from the DRC platform. But don't worry about that right now. In the full webinar on the 10th, I will show you how to select the correct post-test form and level, along with how to transfer a student's pre-test data to his IISP. For now, let's just look at the structure and the content of the ISP. So under section number 4, post-testing information, you have the TABE level at which the student will be post-testing. You can also see the correlated college and career readiness level, C in this example, along with the average word count and Lexile level for the level M language test. Now, this information we added because it is critical when selecting instructional resources and activities. You want to make sure that whatever you select for instruction, and you want to make sure that you provide students with content that mirrors what they will encounter on their post-test. Section number 5 identifies the domain, followed by a % in parentheses. Now, the % indicates how much of the test addresses this particular domain. In this example, 44% of the test is dedicated to questions regarding conventions of standard English. Now, right under the domain, you have the CCRS category. This domain falls under the language category under CCRS. And again, CCRS, College and Career Readiness Standards. Right under that, you have the number of questions pertaining to this particular domain. Section number 6 is to the right of section 5. And here in section number 6, you can mark how well the student performed on his pre-test on this particular section of the test. So how do you know? Well, you are transferring this information directly from the student's individual profile report made available by DRC. So if the student has proficiency in this area, you wouldn't even bother with it at this point. You would just move on to the next domain. In section number 7, you have the table header that identifies the TABE category, TABE subcategory, and TABE skill, all of which are found on the student's individual profile report. The columns entitled Emphasis and Aligned CCRS contain information from the TABE 11-12 blueprints. The emphasis can be labeled high, medium, or low. And the Aligned CCRS will give you a specific reference number to the correlated CCR standards so you can obtain a more detailed description of the standard or the substandard if you need one. And finally, the last title in the header reads Mastery Date. Here, a teacher or a student can write the mastery date for each specific standard and substandard. Now, this column, even though it doesn't seem like a big deal, is a critical column because if it is updated in a timely manner, it will provide an easy at-a-glance view of content that has already been mastered. So it helps keep individual student data live. So you don't always go back to the pre-test report. You do initially, you update all your data so you keep it live. Now, it is important to note, please, that sections 5 through 7 repeat in format for every single domain that is tested. Now, finally, at the end of the last domain chart, you will see a full list of the CCR standards that are aligned under each domain. And by the way, the ones that are listed here are the ones that are tested for this particular test level. So you don't have the full CCRS standards description. You have only the description of those standards that are tested. This description will give you a full description of the anchor, the standards, and substandards in case you need it. So let's face it, you know, most of us don't know what 4.L.1.A stands for. I don't. So I always have to go back and refer to this. This was a nice little addition for us. Now, finally, I want to emphasize that all of the student pretest data that you will learn to transfer from the IISP comes from the TABE 11-12 individual profile report. There's no guessing involved here. So now, all I need to do is remind you not to miss on our full 1-hour training on the TABE 11-12 language IISPs. Because once you have completed that training and you begin to implement these classes, you will most definitely immediately begin to see your students progress more quickly through the course and make functional level gains, which are going to move your data in the right direction. And remember, you know, these plans are all available in fillable PDF format. Now, this is really important because it means that you can save them digitally without ever having to print them. Simply reopen, update, and save the file digitally every time. It also makes it easy to attach it in an email so your students always have an updated version if they don't record it themselves. So I encourage you to take the guesswork out of your teaching and learning. Together, you and your students can both use the IISP to target specific learning gaps and needs. Engage each student in taking an active part in his or her learning. Use these IISPs during individual chats with your students. Go over what they've mastered, what's pending. Have discussions about what activities they prefer and which are of greater interest to them. As you personalize activities more and more, you will see how students become more engaged and empowered in their learning. So, before we conclude our sneak peek webinar, let's just go over some key points to remember. Again, most importantly, there is no guesswork involved. So now I will again remind you not to miss the 1-hour training on the 10th. So there you will get all the specific details that you need to begin implementing these IISPs in your ABE language classes. You will immediately begin to see your students progress more quickly through the course and truly make functional level gains. And these gains are what are going to move your data in the right direction. Now remember, all these plans are available in fillable PDF format. Again, it means you can save them digitally without ever having to print them. And folks, you know I hate killing trees, so just reopen them every time you're using them, update them, save the files, and then you can easily attach them in an email and send them off to your students so they always have updated data. Take the guesswork out of teaching and learning. Together, you and your student can both use the IISP to target what? Specific learning gaps and needs. That's what it is designed for. Engage each student in taking an active part in his or her learning. Use them in individual data chats all the time, as frequently as possible. Go over what they have mastered, what is pending. Have discussions about what kind of activities they enjoy. What are topics that are of interest to them? This helps you to personalize activities. And as you personalize these activities, your students will become more engaged and empowered in their own learning. All right, so this is pretty much a nice little sneak peek of our IISPs for language, but I have an additional treat for you today. It's unexpected, but June and I could not wait to share this with you. And we're going to get right to it.
Drum roll, please.
Right, Joseph. This is Joseph's creation, and it is just phenomenal. You know, as educators, we know that learning has to be reinforced. We cannot just watch a webinar training and poof, there we go. We have automatically processed and internalized all of the information that was presented. You know, I know that many of you will have questions after your full 1-hour training. I know that you will have questions about the test, questions about the IISPs, and maybe even questions regarding how to align resources to the IISPs. So you know that at IPDAY, we really always try to anticipate your needs, just as you try to always anticipate your students' learning needs. And that being said, we've created a new TABE Assistance Center. First of its kind, we're really excited about it. This Assistance Center can be accessed directly from our IPDAY website. Now, there's just 3 sections I want to point out very briefly. One, if you look at number 1, you see there's an FAQ section. And here we will post the most common questions and answers about the TABE 11-12 test. And number 2, this is where you can access and download the IISPs. For now, you will be able to download the language ones. They are there, folks. You see, you just click on them and there you have total access to them. The reading ones will be available at the beginning of summer this year, coming up very quickly. And the math ones will follow soon at the end of summer 2022 thereafter. Now, these downloadable templates, one each for TABE language, level E, level M, level D, and level A, are all fillable. I can't stress enough how important this is. You know, again, it gives you the option. If you want to print them, you can, but you don't have to. You can save and update them digitally. It's your choice, you know. I personally recommend you keep an updated digital copy that you can always, you know, easily email to your students just to keep them engaged and on track. Finally, let's look at number 3. Number 3 highlights the third component for the TABE Assistance Center. And this piece is Ask a TABE Advisor. You know, I really love this part because it allows students and receive authentic responses. Not, you know, I think, well, I believe, well, this is my opinion. No, these are authentic responses from one of our TABE advisors, and you get the responses within 72 hours. So questions could be general questions about the test, questions about obtaining TABE certification for our state, Florida, and questions specific to the new TABE IISPs. All right, folks, again, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. I really look forward to seeing you or sharing time with you on June 10th when we will fully unveil all 4 language IISPs and provide you the in-depth training that you absolutely need in order to successfully implement them in your classroom so that you are on the right track to moving your student data.
Maria, stay on that page for a minute.
Go ahead, June.
Do you mind talking about also the determining a student's next test assignment that we have there for them? Tell them a little bit about that there too.
I will do that. Thank you, June. Thank you for reminding me. So right under where you have number 2, kind of like between 2 and 3 there on the bottom, on the right-hand side, I'm sorry, you will see it says download the TABE 1112 Determining a Student's Next Test Assignment, NTA. All right, most of us, you know, we have testing departments and they handle, you know, identifying what test a student needs to be post-tested at. Well, more often than not, there is an option. You could post-test a student on a higher level test or a lower level test. Why does this happen? Because we know that the scale score ranges overlap from TABE level to TABE level. So for example, you might have a student in an NRS level 3 who could be post-testing, oh, I'm sorry, NRS 2, for example, who could have post-tested or be post-testing on a level E test or a level. Which one do you decide to use? Which one is better for the student? If you get the wrong test level, you're going to get the wrong IISP. So in our full-length training on June 10th, we're going to show you a foolproof method on which post-test level is best for your student, which one you should select, and how to align the correct IISP to that post-test level. June, back to you.
Thanks, Maria. Yes, we're really excited about this TABE Assistance Center. Just keep in mind that this is not like DRC information that you would need. This is really for you. We want to help you to solve those solutions, you know, of issues that you're seeing. So again, you're going to see these frequently asked questions, could be general questions, could be about your certification, or it could be like Maria said, specifically regarding, oh, what resources are there on the IPDAY website that you can guide me to these instructional student plans. I just love that it's individualized and really helps to empower the student in their learning. So we hope that you're able to download these. We'd love to hear your feedback on it, and, you know, keep coming back to the website because we're always putting more resources on there to help you with whatever you need to do. So thank you, Maria. You did a great job in that explanation of that. So we're just seeing a lot of great comments in the chat, Maria. There's just a lot of great information that they're thanking you for in explaining it. And keep in mind that there are some questions about additional resources. Just stay tuned because they're all coming. We're producing them as fast as we can, right, Maria?
Yes, it is quite a process. It does require a lot of statistical analysis. It requires a lot of item analysis for the test. We want to make sure that when we tell you this is what is covered on the post-test, that it is 100% accurate. We don't want you to be, you know, this is for individualized instruction, personalized instruction. It's not for general instruction. General instruction, you keep following, you know, the required standards and the curriculum frameworks, but this is just to target specific learning gaps that students need to fill in order to be able to be successful on their post-tests. All right, June, so.
All right. So great. So, you know, we're always here to assist you, and we thank you for connecting with us. But before you leave us, we'd like to hear your feedback. So just take a moment to look at these 3 questions and simply answer them. And Maria, I want to thank you very much. We know you're in a tropical storm down there in Miami, so we thank you for
Yes.
picking it out with us. So we
Yes, thank you.
that.
I still have power. This is good. Folks, just in case before I lose you, I just want to invite you to check out the new IISPs. They're on the IPDE website. Look at and review them before you participate in the June 10th training, so that you can anticipate some questions that, you know, and that way we're ready and we can address all of your concerns, any questions you might have on June 10th.
Definitely. So we look forward to seeing you on June 10th. And you know that we're always here to assist you. You know how to communicate with us. We know you're going through some different training modes in your online learning. So if there's anything that we can assist you with, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Well, until then, I wish all of you a very nice rest of your afternoon, and we'll be thinking about all of you, and we will see you on June 10th.
All right. Good afternoon, guys. Thank you so much for joining us.